Things are heating up in a big way around XRP, but also in the US, as we do start to see a lot of big regulatory moves happening around crypto. The big question still is there. And that question is, are we about to witness this Ripple case getting completely thrown out? We have a lot to talk about. Welcome to the channel, everyone. My name is Nick. For those that are new to the channel, hopefully by the end of this video, you do become a subscriber. Let's talk about ETFs, because we do see here from XRP drops just in, NASDAQ files to list and trade CoinShares XRP ETF. NASDAQ has formally filed 19B4 forms with the SEC to list and trade two exchange-traded products from CoinShares, the CoinShares XRP ETF, and also the Litecoin ETF. The proposed funds would provide investors exposure to XRP and Litecoin, two established crypto assets. Now, what I find very interesting about this is, yeah, we continue to see a lot more XRP ETFs popping up everywhere. But this is one of many. We actually have over here, if we actually look at some of the firms that have filed, we have Grayscale, Bitwise, Canary, 21 Shares, and Wisdom Tree. Now, this is only showing us 5, okay? We know that there's probably about roughly, I think like 9. The last time that we actually looked at this, it was like roughly 9 that have filed for an XRP ETF. The big question is, when are we going to see these completely approved? Now, we do know that the approval odds are about 65% for XRP. That's actually significantly lower than Solana, Dogecoin, and even Litecoin. And, as we do really think about these odds, when we think about what we've been hearing around XRP, I would say that these odds should definitely be higher. Number one, when we look at the SEC, when we look at the moves being made in the US right now, in terms of the regulatory side, it's really kind of clearing a path for Ripple to win that lawsuit, or at least have that case get completely thrown out. Even now, as we do look at the SEC, it's been completely realigned in a positive way for crypto. I mean, we now look at the SEC as a pro-crypto SEC instead of a anti-crypto SEC. But on top of this, right, we actually have over here that the CFTC, now I did mention this in a few videos already, but we actually have here from XRP drops, Ripple, the commodity FTC, aka the CFTC. XRP is not a security plans within plans, because again, they are a commodity FTC, the Commodities Futures Trading Commission. And we do know that Ripple was a part of their previous forum regarding, launching digital asset markets pilots. But what's crazy about this is, why is Ripple there if XRP is a security, right? That's why this SEC case, I feel as if it's going to get thrown out this year. But we did just get a big update actually happening around Binance, because we have breaking, the SEC and Binance have filed to pause their case for 60 days. The first pause on crypto litigation since Mark Ueda became acting SEC chair. Will other cases like Ripple, Coinbase, and Kraken follow suit? And yeah, we are sitting here and we really are wondering, like, what's going on with this case? Do we have to wait until April to even see a big update, within this case? Or are we going to see something happen sooner? Listen, we're getting very close to April. We're about 2 months out now. The big question is, do we have to wait 2 months? All of this is really kind of building and building and building, but on the back end, we are starting to see some historical moves happening for crypto that, in my opinion, it's much bigger than the Ripple case. I don't think that we actually have to worry about the Ripple case anymore, in my opinion, right? I told you guys many times that this case is nonsense. I don't even, worry about it at all anymore. And that's mainly because this SEC has completely flipped. And it's much bigger than the SEC at this point. Number one, let's go over here to the Congress, right? Ripple's U.S. Congress push for cryptocurrency regulation is in a historical shift. Big shout out to Bank XRP for this. We have Ripple U.S. Congress push for cryptocurrency regulation is this is a historical shift for the entire space. It's not just Ripple, by the way, but it's a historical shift. The US Congress has announced that it will promote a bill to clarify cryptocurrency regulations. Ripple CEO Garlinghouse has assessed this as a 100% important. The regulatory environment is changing due to changes in the SEC structure and the newly established cryptocurrency task force's involvement in policy formation. And yes, the entire structure around the SEC, this is why I say that they completely flipped, is now completely different. We are no longer in that anti-crypto stance. We are now in a pro-crypto stance. But on top of this, right, you also have, Congress and the SEC uniting on crypto for the first time in history. We actually have legislation is coming within the next 6 months. For the first time in history, all 4 congressional committees that regulate crypto, Senate Banking, House Financial Services, Senate Agriculture, and House Agriculture, are aligned on legislation. David Sachs led a press conference with Senate and House committee chairs confirming a legislative framework is coming this year. At the same time, the SEC is shifting its focus with a reported internal reshuffle, moving over 50 attorneys out of crypto enforcement. The Genius Act, introduced by Senate Banking Chair Tim Scott, aims to create a federal stablecoin framework with clear licensing and oversight. The Trump administration is also studying a potential Bitcoin reserve, signaling a seismic shift in U.S. digital asset strategy. This is the most aggressive pro-crypto move from a U.S. administration. Regulations could be finalized within 6 months. Now, if this is the case, like I said, this should be the full focus, not the XRP Ripple case, because that case at this point is absolutely nonsense. But on top of this, we also have from David Sachs, historic moment as 4 key chairmen unite for crypto legislation. This is the first time we've had the 4 chairmen of the key committees all come together and say they're ready to support crypto legislation. Check this out.
What's the plan here to legitimize and regulate crypto?
Well, the plan was really spelled out by President Trump in his week 1 EO on crypto, and it's all spelled out in there. The principles of the administration on crypto, the president said he wants to support the responsible use and growth of digital assets and blockchains across every sector of the economy. So the principles are all there. And yesterday I was invited up to Capitol Hill to meet with the chairman of the important committees that basically govern crypto. And so we had a press conference there to announce the legislative plan. You can see there's Chairman Tim Scott, who's the chair of the Senate Banking Committee, to my left, and then to my right is French Hill, who's the chairman of the House Financial Services Committee. And then to his right is John Bozeman, who's the chair of the Senate Agriculture Committee. And then to the left of Tim Scott is G.T. Thompson, who's the chair of the House Agriculture Committee. He's out of frame right now. But those are the 4 committees that govern crypto. And you may ask, why is the Agriculture Committee involved in crypto? And the reason is because the Ag Committee supervises the CFTC, the Commodities Futures Trading Commission, because commodities all came out of agriculture. So it's interesting. You need 4 committees across the House and Senate to get legislation done on crypto. It's not just House and Senate. It's actually 2 committees in each of the House and Senate. And so this is the first time where we've had 4 chairmen of the 4 key committees all come together and say that they're ready to support crypto legislation. There were a lot of people on X who felt like this wasn't, a mind-blowing announcement. They wanted something that they could trade on right away. That's not what this was. This was basically a statement of commitment from the chairs of the 4 committees that we're going to get legislation done this year, maybe in the next 6 months. I mean, that's really the goal. And we've never had that before. So that is pretty monumental.
So yeah, I mean, this is a massive moment for crypto, especially in the US, which really kind of is supporting the fact that, this case within the whole XRP community, that case is done. Which also leads us back to the ETFs because, if that case did disappear tomorrow, what's the likelihood of all of these ETFs being completely greenlit? In my opinion, it immediately moves to 100%. But on top of this, right, David Sachs also did say over here that crypto needs clear rules. Market structure bill could pass in 6 months. one of the things that the market needs is just clarity around the definition of digital assets, that the founders know what the rules of the road are, and they are actually just, or they can actually just comply with them. Now, we do know Brad Garlinghouse did mention this. We know that even Chris Larson did say this as well. So many big players from the space in terms of founders and CEOs have also stated, like, listen, we want clear roles. We are asking for them. We have yet to actually see them. So giving them those definitions and describing how a crypto project could start, for example, as a security, and eventually the protocol could become decentralized enough, or maybe it becomes a commodity. Tim Scott is the new chair of the Senate Banking Committee, and he's expressed support. So I think now we could get a bill on market structure. That was one of the things all the chairmen expressed support for. So I think there's a pretty good chance that we get that done in the next 6 months.
Because digital assets can be many things. You can have some digital assets are cryptocurrencies. They're actually currencies. Then there's things that are crypto securities. Then there's things that are commodities. Bitcoin actually is regulated as a commodity right now. And then you've got things that aren't securities or commodities, or like collectibles, like NFTs, things like that. So there's all these different categories. And one of the things that the market needs is just clarity around the definitions so that founders know what the rules of the road are and they can actually just comply with them. So giving them those definitions and describing how a crypto project could start, for example, as a security, and eventually the protocol could become decentralized enough, or maybe it becomes a commodity. That whole idea, that's called market structure. And there was a bill in the last Congress by French Hill, who is the chair of the House Financial Services Committee now, that passed the House with 71 Democratic votes. So it was fairly bipartisan, but then it went nowhere in the Senate because, frankly, the Banking Committee at that time was run by Sherrod Brown, who is anti-crypto. So it got stopped in the Senate right away. Now we have Republican control of the Senate, and Tim Scott's the new chair of the Senate Banking Committee, and he's expressed support. So I think now we could get a bill on market structure like FIT 21, again, which was French Hill's bill last Congress. I think we could do a revised and updated version this Congress. And that was one of the things the chairman expressed support for. So I think there's a pretty good chance we could get this done in the next 6 months.
What's the opposition, Sachs? I guess it feels to me like with the market structure question being addressed and answered, you would have also more protection for consumers because now businesses know the rules of the road. They follow them, the structure that protects consumers, et cetera, et cetera. Why would people be opposed to moving this forward, moving the legislation forward, getting this all behind us?
Well, I think this is an area where there's a really good chance of having bipartisan support. We did in the last Congress, like I mentioned, that the House bill got over 70 Democratic votes. I think in the Senate, we're going to need 7 votes, seven Democrat votes to get to 60, right? Which is the number you need if you don't go through the reconciliation process. And I think there's a good chance this passes with significant Democratic support as well as Republican. It's not going to be unanimous or anything like that because there are still forces that are hostile to crypto in Washington.
So, yeah, I mean, listen, we could start to see these big moves happen within the next, 6 months. There is still definitely, issues that need to be fixed, just like David is saying towards the end of this video. But I do think that we are on a very solid path. And, one of the biggest things that we'll most likely see this year is definitely stablecoin, legislation, which will definitely support RLUSD. It will support Ripple's initiatives, which also, technically does support XRP and XRPL initiatives as well. So I'm definitely watching these moves happen, closely. But on top of this, right, like the number one thing that we should be watching for outside of the Ripple case being dropped is what happens around the US markets in terms of regulations. But the SEC is now pausing some of these cases, which definitely does highlight the fact that, could we see the Ripple case being paused? Could we see that case, completely thrown out? The possibilities here are endless in terms of, that case being completely dropped, thrown out, paused. And, I think that it makes a lot of sense, especially with how close Ripple is becoming with this new admin, with how big Ripple is becoming, with all the moves, Ripple has been making as well. So it just makes a lot of sense. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below, though. I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you guys did enjoy this video, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on because I'm more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.